Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to tackle something that trips up pretty much everyone learning English, the future tenses. It can be a real headache, right? But stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to have a super simple way to pick the right tense every single time. Seriously.
So, let's just jump right in with the classic example. You've been there, right? You're wrapping up a chat, you want to say you'll call them later, but what do you say? I'll call you, or I'm going to call you? I mean, what's the real difference? They both point to the future, sure, but they give off a totally different vibe, a different meaning. And nailing this, that's the secret to sounding really, really natural.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, the big secret to the future tense puzzle. Then we'll put some tenses head to head. We'll even see how the present can be used for the future, look at some advanced stuff, and wrap it all up with a handy toolkit for you.
Okay, first up, the future tense puzzle. Let's crack this thing wide open. The secret to getting it right? Well, it's actually way simpler than you'd think. It all comes down to just shifting how you look at it.
So here it is, the big idea. It's not really about time. I know, that sounds weird, but it's true. It's all about the context. It's about the speaker's point of view. Ask yourself, was this a sudden decision I just made? Am I guessing based on something I can see right now? Or is this a solid plan I've got locked in my calendar? That's the game changer. Thinking about context instead of just time, that's everything.
All right, let's get to our first big showdown. This is the main event, folks. Will versus going to. We're going to see how they stack up when it comes to two really important jobs, making predictions and making decisions.
So here's the breakdown. Think of it like this. You grab will when you make a decision on the spot, right then and there, or when you're just sharing your opinion about the future. But you use going to when you've got evidence. You can see or feel something right now that makes you pretty sure about what's going to happen. Let's check out some examples. It'll make perfect sense.
Okay, picture this. You're at a friend's house. They ask, tea or coffee? You hadn't thought about it, but you just say, I'll have beer, please. See? That's a perfect spontaneous decision. You didn't walk in with a beer plan, you decided in that split second. That's why I'll have is just the perfect natural fit.
Now, let's flip it around. Imagine you say, I feel terrible. I think I'm going to be sick. Ugh, that's not a sudden choice, right? It's a prediction, and it's based on very strong, very real evidence happening in your body right now. That feeling is your proof. And that's exactly why you'd say, I'm going to be sick.
And here's the other main job for will. Someone asks, who do you think will win the next election? This is purely about your opinion. You don't have a crystal ball. There's no dark cloud in the sky signaling the outcome. You're just making a general prediction from your own head. For stuff like that, will is always your best bet. All right, on to our next face-off. This is another one that gets tricky. We're putting going to up against the present continuous. Now, both of these are for plans, but, and this is the important part, they're for very different kinds of plans.
So, what's the difference? It all boils down to how organized the plan is. Think of going to as an intention. It's a plan you've already made, but maybe it's still just an idea floating around in your head. But the present continuous, that's for a fixed arrangement. It's something that feels solid, like it's already penciled into your diary, you know? It often involves other people, a set time, a specific place.
This example is perfect for an intention. Imagine you see someone carrying a ladder. They say, I'm going to repair the roof. You know from the ladder that they didn't just decide this second. They had a plan before they started talking. It's a prior intention, and that's a job for going to.
And here we have the present continuous doing what it does best, talking about social plans. When you ask, are you doing anything this evening, you're really asking what's in your diary. You want to know about their fixed, concrete arrangements. Is their time already booked? That's why are you doing is the go-to for these kinds of fixed plans.
Okay, let's talk about a really specific but super important rule. This one's a little weird because sometimes to talk about the future, you actually use the present tense. I know, it sounds a bit strange, but there's a dead simple rule that makes it easy.
It's literally just 2 steps. That's it. Step 1, spot a time word like when or as soon as, or a condition word like if. Step 2, the verb that comes right after that magic word, it has to be in the present simple. Even though you're talking about the future, that one little part stays in the present.
And here's exactly how that works. You say, I'll write to you when I arrive. The main part, I'll write to you, is clearly future. But look at what comes after when. It's I arrive, present tense. Saying when I'll arrive is such a common mistake, But if you just remember this little two-step rule, you'll dodge it every time.
All right, time to level up a bit. For those times when you need to get super specific about the future, English has a couple of special tools for you: the future continuous and the future perfect. Think of them as your high-precision instruments.
This timeline lays it out perfectly. The future continuous is all about being in the middle of something at a specific time in the future. Imagine you're zooming in on tomorrow at 10 a.m. and seeing an action in progress. The future perfect, on the other hand, is about looking back from a point in the future, say next weekend, and seeing that an action is already done. One is ongoing, the other is completed.
So here's the future continuous in action. This time next week, we'll be lying on a beach. See? The focus is so specific. It's not just sometime next week, it's this time next week. You're painting a picture of an action that will be happening, in progress, at that very moment. You can almost feel the sun, right?
And now, the future perfect. I'll have painted my flat by next weekend. The magic words here are by next weekend. It's like you're standing at the finish line next weekend and looking back. The painting is done. It's finished. It's all about an action being completed before a certain future deadline.
Whew. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's wrap it all up and put everything into one simple, powerful toolkit that you can use anytime you're stuck.
Okay, this table is basically your cheat sheet. So, quick recap. Making a decision on the spot? I'll have the coffee. That's will. You see dark clouds? It's going to rain. That's going to, because you have evidence. A plan locked in your diary? I'm meeting Sarah at 8 p.m. That's present continuous. After words like when or if, you use the present simple, like when I arrive. Describing something in the middle of happening at a future time, we'll be lying on the beach. That's future continuous. And finally, something finished by a future deadline, I'll have painted my flat. That's future perfect. It always comes back to context and your perspective.
And that's it. You've now got the whole toolkit. You have a logical way to choose the right future tense, so it's not just a guessing game anymore. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have the tools, what's the first future situation you're going to describe?